All right, welcome to episode number 4 of Long Toss here on the Walkoff. Joined by some familiar faces, some new faces, so we'll get to all that in just a minute. Just want to acknowledge if you are listening to this in podcast or if you're catching this on YouTube later in the week, we are live right now. It's Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, so tune back in on a future episode. Get your comments and questions in on the live chat. We've got Mark here in the corner, keeping an eye on all that. So if anybody has anything good to say, we'll get to that. We also will be tossing to our Discord for some fun Discord questions throughout. So topics for today include, obviously, the announcement of spring training being postponed. We're going to talk about the Juan Soto mega deal that he turned down. Expanded playoffs this year and beyond. We're going to speculate on Carlos Correa and his contract. How much will he get and where will he go maybe? And lastly, Aaron Judge, final year with the Yankees. Where's everybody sit on Aaron Judge as a guy? And then this last one here, we saw it just before we went live here. Out of Vanderbilt, they've implemented a interesting piece of technology into college baseball this year. A new electronic pitch calling system. So we'll get into all that and more. But let's first, I'm Adam Mack, a little bit late for that intro, but this is me, joined as always by my good co-host, Mr. Scott Belford. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, it was a pretty dangerous drive home from Lethbridge today. There was a snowstorm. Of course, it started snowing at like midnight. I just saw it start snowing, and I'm like, of course. I can't drive home with good roads, but I'm happy to be here and talking baseball.
Good. All right. Joel, welcome back. Hey, Kami on TikTok for anybody following along. Joel is multitasking today. You've got 2 Zooms going. What's the other Zoom about?
The other one is, here, I'll do it. I'll show you guys like I did before.
Love it.
Here it is. That's right there. That's my movie set. Right. Well, not my, I wrote it. I wrote the movie that they're shooting right here. So you can see that it's like a fake roof, right? And a fake kitchen. And they're on set right now. And Carly's yelling. They're just out to lunch.
She'll love that.
Yeah, she's gonna hate that.
They won't let them on set. They're like, you can watch, but you don't get to be there.
Yeah, so anytime they have like an issue with the script or something, they'll come yelling, and I'll have to run over there and say, "You're on scene here, and the line is this," and then I'll come back. But they haven't needed me all morning, so hopefully we're good to go.
Hopefully that continues. We are missing Andrew Stoughton. He'll be joining us shortly. Friend of the show, Andrew Stoughton. You might know him from his time in the years past with The Athletic, but you can catch him now on Substack. The Bat Flip, the Blue Jays. What would you call it, Scott?
He just messaged on Twitter. And he says, just setting up 1 second. So he's on his way here.
All right, well, perfect. Well, when we invite him in, he's not getting an intro because he already got one. We'll just invite him in and ignore him. All right, then we've got... now, this is one of the OG friends of the show, bright red here, Duncan Cereso of Oh My Apparel. This is Out Hustle My Yesterday. You were probably one of the first 5 guests that we've ever had on the Walk-Off. So you've been a friend of the show for ages. How you doing, man?
I'm good, guys. Good to be back. Didn't take too many of the long episodes, too, to get on. So keeping with the streak of coming on early.
Yeah, top 5, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
there we go, right on. You're in Calgary right now?
Yeah. So, shoveled snow this morning. And
yeah,
didn't have to push any cars out where I am, but yeah.
Perfect. All right. And then lastly, we are joined by Mr. Zach Logue. Congratulations on 2 things. Recently added to the Blue Jays 40-man. And more importantly, you're married.
Yes.
Got married. We're just over a month in. Yeah, thanks, guys. Just over a month in. It's been great. Excited to be back. Good to see you guys.
Hey, I was having a look at your Instagram there. That was quite the church you got married in.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It made up for the lack of beauty on my part. So
I trust she picked the location then.
She picked the location. She was in charge of probably 99% of it. Yeah, she did a great job. It went off smoothly, and here we are. We're married.
That's awesome. What'd you guys do for a honeymoon? Were you able to go anywhere nice, or did COVID kind of put a damper on that?
Yeah, so kind of an interesting story there. So we were originally scheduled to get married December 5th of 2020. And a few weeks before the wedding, we had to postpone because all these new mandates got put in place. But we had already booked a honeymoon to go after that wedding. So we went and spent a week in Barbados
Nice.
after our original wedding date, which was awesome. If anybody has not been, I highly recommend it. It was a lot of fun. So this time around, when we actually got married, we didn't really get to do a whole lot, unfortunately. So hopefully after this coming season, we'll be able to take a little trip together.
Well, that's really exciting, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's jump into things here, but before we do, let's stall until Andrew can join the show. I just got this question sent in on Instagram here just before we went live. This is a fun one. Number 4 was always my number for youth sports, and they are wondering what everybody's number of choice is when these middle-aged, out-of-shape men do get to play sports, although it doesn't maybe that doesn't happen too often anymore. But let's just throw around the horn here and see why everybody chooses the number that they go with. Zach, let's start with you because you're an actual athlete. Is the number you're wearing now the number you plan to stick with once you are inevitably in the MLB with the Blue Jays?
So throughout the minors, you pretty much just pick whatever jersey fits. I've been number 10. I've been 28. I was 44 this past year. I've been 8. So that's kind of where I'm at now. And hopefully when I get called up, I'll be happy with whatever jersey they give me. But growing up, I was always number 1. I don't really know what drew me to number 1, but I wore number 1 in baseball from T-ball all the way up through high school. So that was mine.
Awesome. Joel, how about yourself?
24.
24. And why 24?
Yeah. Griffey.
All right, it's about as good a reason as any.
It's a good
Short
reason.
and sweet. I'll give you that. And Duncan, how about yourself?
Well, I wore 67 growing up. Kind of a similar thing to Zach. It was just the number that fit when you're the little guy playing North Winnipeg Pirates, and Canada became a country in 67, and my uncle was born in 1967, so that kind of fit. And then when I got to college, I wore 5, just kind of in honor of my dad, who taught me a lot on the athletic side. So yeah.
Wow, that level of sentimental detail is usually reserved for obscure tattoos. So
I got a few of those too, but
do you have a number 67 tattooed on you?
I do. Yeah.
There we go. There we go. I knew that story was too well prepared. You've asked, why do you have a 67 on your leg way too many times. So, all right. And Scott, how about yourself?
Mine was always 14 because I loved Theo Fleury, and that was really the only thing behind that.
Nice. I grew up a Todd Bertuzzi fan, so I liked 44, but in minor league sports that was never an option, so I liked 4 until one year 4 was unavailable by a kid that was better at hockey than I was, so I had to go with 5. And now, as an adult playing slow pitch, 5 is too common to ask for, so I go with 23. So let's
Hey, Andrew.
Welcome to the show. We got started without you.
All good. Sorry.
No worries.
Just hope nobody caught my original background there.
Oh, no, I saw it. You can't go back on that now.
I play trivia every week, and I had a little joke background that I forgot to turn off before I came on. But otherwise, it's lovely to see everybody.
All right. What kind of trivia are you into?
It's quite general, but
Okay.
also quite difficult. I have a wonderful friend, Kirk Heron, who used to do it at 2020 Dundas in Toronto and at the Ossington, and does it on Zoom now.
Nice.
And he's really great at what he does, and makes a great trivia game. I recommend it. Seek him
Awesome.
out.
Where can people catch that? Is that that's just on Zoom? Is that like through a Facebook group or?
I think you have to. I think it's called Brass Facts Trivia. I'm here just like plugging things like right off the top. I didn't
Right
even
out of
intend
the
to.
gate.
Like I just a friend of mine. But yeah, Brass Facts.
That's perfect,
You
Andrew.
can find him on Instagram.
Okay. Well, you missed it, but Joel, his introduction was, "Hey, look at this screen. I'm filming a movie right now." So he's plugging his shit too. We all,
All right. All right.
we're all plugging stuff right now. That's good.
I'm definitely a plug.
All right. So now let's get into the first topic of the day. It's officially been postponed. Spring training has been pushed back to March 5th with a official, unofficial deadline of February 28th to get a deal done. I guess let's just start with this. How's everybody feeling about the prospects of having a season start on time? Andrew, you just joined us. How about we start with you?
Oh, not great. I feel like I feel like we have people here who would have better insight into this than I do, but yeah, it does not feel good. I'm hopeful that all this stuff is really difficult to sort of gauge, where the fissures might be in either group. I'm hopeful that this lack of spring training revenue might be a motivating factor to get owners trying to be serious about actually getting the season started on time, but we'll see. It doesn't feel like they've been serious at all, and that they're they kind of showed their hand a bit in 2020 about how they could have played more games in 2020 than the owners eventually relented to do, which I think is a bad sign. It kind of indicates how tilted towards them the system is, and that they may be ready to dig in, and I hope that's not true. And I hope that there are factions among them that are going to come to their senses. But right now, I don't feel great about it.
Well, we're 8 days away. We have 8 days. I think the MLBPA and the MLB are supposed to meet starting tomorrow. Every single
daily
day
is what they're saying. Hopefully, yeah.
45 minutes times 8.
45 minutes is generous, but yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Joel, how do you feel about it?
I go to 43 wasted days waiting for the proposal to come back and then saying, we don't have one. We're going to the arbitrator. That's so much time. That is so much time. Here we are at the 11th hour. And what was that time used for? It wasn't used for anything. It was just wasted. And the thing I'm worried about is when you think about the COVID shortened year, how many injuries there were because of the shotgun style spring training that they had. I'm worried. I'm not happy, and I'm worried.
Well, let's flip to Zach then, because this is one that affects you directly, Zach, with spring training and how it was shortened during the COVID season.
Yeah, you get added to the 40-man just in time to not be able to do anything, eh?
Yeah, so kind of a mixed
what
bag,
a time for that to happen, right? Yeah, what a time for that to happen.
So you're not allowed to participate in team activities as a member of the 40-man.
Correct. Not allowed to participate in any activities. We're not really supposed to have any contact with them, and vice versa. Not allowed to go to the facility, which it is a very, very weird position to be in, because I still kind of view myself as a minor leaguer because I still haven't debuted and haven't gone through any of that kind of stuff yet.
Right.
I'm cautiously optimistic that they'll make some real progress in the next couple of days. I think meeting in person is a big step, but kind of like what Joel said, it's definitely frustrating because they had all this time to where they could have actually done something and at least agreed upon a few different things, and then here we are a week out threatening missing regular season games, and nothing has really been done.
Well, so you're technically still in AAA, but a member of the 40-man. You're not allowed to the team facility. Are you going to be playing in AAA once the season starts?
Yeah, are you even allowed to play minor league
whether
ball
there's a
when you're on the
lockout
40
still
man?
or not? Are you playing AAA when that season starts?
So no, I'm technically on the major league roster. So the minor league season is scheduled to go on as normal. So yeah, this is kind of what I've been talking about with a lot of my friends that maybe aren't on the 40-man, kind of guys that bounce up and down. Are they gonna continue with the AAA season on time, or are they just gonna run AA and down? Because there's however many guys on the 40-man that might not be in the big leagues. So they'll be missing all those guys. And then you think of all the free agents that still have yet to sign. So there's going to be AAA rosters with 10 guys that would like normally be there. So it'll be very, very interesting to see what happens if we end up missing games.
Very weird. So if there was no lockout and we were just continuing at normal, you would have started your ramp up earlier this week, right?
Yeah. So I where I am physically right now is I'm ready for spring training. I've thrown bullpens, I've thrown live a couple times, so I'm physically ready because you kind of have to prepare like spring training would have started, a few days ago or whatever. But yeah, I think now once they come to a deal, it's kind of going to be crazy. They're going to want us down there soon. We're going to want to start as quickly as possible. So I'm trying to be as ready as possible without kind of like burning myself out a little bit. It's kind of a very fine line to walk right now.
Yeah, no, it's a very weird spot to be in. Very weird spot. You did mention though that like once a deal does get done, it's gonna be fireworks, right? It's gonna be hectic. From a fan perspective, it's gonna be great, right? I think all of us are looking forward to one hell of a week of trades and signings and everything like that. Yeah, Joel, what do you think? What do you think is going to be the first domino to fall in terms of, let's just say, free agents once a deal does get done? Let's just fast forward 8 days and pretend that best case scenario a deal got done. What are you expecting out of this week?
Freddie Freeman being either locked up by Atlanta or wherever he goes. That's going to shake up the world. Just I can't even imagine him playing for somebody else, but especially for the Blue Jays. And to touch upon the strike and stuff, I feel really bad for the Blue Jays live fans who go to see him live, because 2000 the COVID season of 20, no live games. Then they get back halfway or like a third left of the season to start playing live games, and then to have a potential strike that takes away more live games from like Bichette and Guerrero's the beginning of their career. How many games have those live fans been deprived of seeing those guys play? It's just ridiculous. But yeah,
I saw Vlad's debut and I saw one since.
Yeah, man, it's just like
crazy.
I feel for you, dude. You should have seen those guys play so much baseball. Yeah. It's so sad.
It's a dangerous game that the owners are playing, because there's the shift in the talent that's coming in and those young guys, and now's the kind of chance to recapture that magic with the young fan base and everything. And it's, instead of focusing on ways to do that, we've got potentially missing out on a season, and especially in an era now where attention and that is the currency that we play with.
That is such a good point, man. Like, it's not 1994 anymore.
No.
Like, there's a lot of entertainment out there, right?
Yeah. And it already is the game too long, this, and but then now you've got these young studs in their prime, right? That are like just getting into it, and it's like, hey, I want to see that, and show me that, and have that on the TV for the whole summer, instead of how long are we going to wait? And then when it comes back, how many eyeballs come back to it, right?
You're right. Like, just
maybe less than 4 hours a game, but yeah.
It is interesting though, because like the baseball fan of the future who's 16 years old right now still doesn't necessarily even know they're going to be a baseball fan, right? They're still making up their mind on where are their allegiances going to lie in terms of their teams and their sports and everything like that, right? So we are really burning a lot of like precious opportunities here to capture that young fan.
Every game you miss that you don't get to see Acuna or Soto or Guerrero or Tatis right now, like, what is baseball doing? Like,
and this gets to a deeper issue, but like the way that I ended up being a fan was the Blue Jays had the thing called the Toronto Star Pass, which was $100, where you could get a 500 level ticket to every game except the opener. And so many people that I know through Twitter, that I've met through Blue Jays fandom, that's really where that blossomed, because it was accessible, because the Jays at that time, were struggling to get people through the gates. And that was like really formative and really important, I think, for a lot of fans who, I was a fan as a kid, but it really coalesced, later on, basically because of that. And now it's really inaccessible. at the top level, which is apparently the only level that the owners care about.
It's true though, and like I don't know, I keep thinking about.
Stop reading between the lines, Andrew.
I mean, I'm a diehard baseball fan myself, but I'll be the first one to admit that if you're not watching it live, I mean, baseball is 99% one of the most boring sports to watch. But it has some of the best highlights in all of sports, right? I think whenever any of us watch, the Sportsnet Plays of the Month or whatever it may be, it's just some incredible highlights being made across the league, whether it's defensively or offensively. And just in terms of capturing that young audience, I think that it really slots in well with that short attention span on TikTok and platforms like that. And I think we're really going to miss out on that, not being able to see some of these crazy highlights just kind of bombard our feeds, whether it's on Instagram or wherever you might be. So it is too bad everybody seems to go broke counting nickels instead of dollars, but here we are, right?
Is that a reference to the court case to not pay major or minor leaguers their spring training? Or what?
Hey, we'll give you housing, but we're not going to pay you for the first month of your... Yeah, no, they all make enough, right? They're good, those greedy little minor leagers.
Don't get me started on that one.
Hey, man, I saw the church you got married in, Zach.
Can we let Zach get started on that one?
Oh, yeah.
Oh gosh. Yeah, the whole spring training thing is it doesn't make sense to me at all because they play it off like it's an invite. They play it off like it's voluntary, but if you don't show up, then who the heck knows what's going to happen to you, and you're doing the same amount of work, honestly, if not more than you do during the season. Our days are so long during the spring. They can get very, very monotonous. And here we are playing. We're just out there standing there shagging BP for meal money. So that one, like, it would be fair for us to get paid during the off season,
Of course.
especially since we make so little during the season. But the fact that we're actually at spring training doing our jobs, the fact that we don't get paid for that, it just is very, very confusing.
Especially
You know
the
where you-
fragility
you
of
know
being
where
a
you do
pitcher,
get-
right?
Yeah.
All right. You know where you do get paid for training? Every other job on the planet.
Exactly. We're like, yeah, what do they call it? They call us like seasonal employees or something like that when we're expected to, work out and train and throw
Yeah, you're
and all that
basically
stuff
just
to get
greeting
ready.
people at Christmas at the front doors for Walmart, right? Your seasonal
Yes,
work.
that's all we're doing. Exactly. That's all we're doing.
Oh, man.
But also we laugh, but also like it's crazy. It's
messed
crazy.
up.
You guys are doing a full-time job all year round, and
Right.
these enormous companies are treating you so terribly, and
Right.
it's wrong. It's like it's straight up wrong. So,
How do you reckon that in your marriage with your wife? Like, how long have you guys been together before you got married? Let's start with that.
Like 10 years. We started dating in high school.
Okay,
So we've been
she's-
together for
she's
quite
been
some
on this
time.
She
whole
knows.
journey together.
Yeah,
knows,
she maybe didn't know exactly what she signed up for, but she's kind of she's been along for the whole ride. She's been along for the whole ride.
So you
But
were
the
getting
truth
towards
is, you probably didn't even know 100% what you were signing up for, right?
Not even close. Not even close.
You graduated college and got drafted, and she was like, "Well, at least we'll start getting money soon." And then years have gone by.
Yeah, the glorious life of a minor league player. Yeah, exactly. Luckily, she's got a good job. She's a nurse, so she's
that's
stable and all that stuff. So yeah, she's
great.
been a big help.
You know what they say, behind every man pursuing his dreams is a wife with a stable job. So my wife is a nurse too, and I'm here getting paid like $0 a month to do comedy. So actually, there you go, Scott. That's the other career where you don't get paid for your training. Stand-up comedians and minor league
found-
baseball players, we need to form some sort of a co-op union and get each other through this. Joel, go ahead.
Movie makers.
Screenwriters don't get anything.
You don't get anything for all the hard work you're putting in with double
Oh,
Zooms
you
right
want
now?
to write a spec script? You're doing it on hopes that people like what you write, and then you spend a year doing it, and they flip you off, and that's it, right? So, I feel your pain.
What's the life of a big Hollywood writer living in northern Alberta? How's that go?
Well, I love it. I love it. Don't get me
Zoom
wrong.
made
I
that
love Los
easier?
Angeles, but I'm not really a part of that. Like the way they make movies in LA,
Yeah.
because it's just become a franchise, Marvel and all that stuff. And if you want to write something, if you want to create characters, like honestly, Hollywood ain't the place to do it.
Fair enough. All right, let's toss to our Discord here for a second. Mark, do you have anything for us from Discord?
Yeah. Let's see what we got here. Let's go with this one for Zach. How excited were you when you arrived to the 40-man roster, and how did the Jays deliver the news?
Yeah, it was very exciting. It was definitely a very nerve-wracking day. It kind of reminded me of draft day. You're going to get – I knew I was going to get a call one way or another, and I think the deadline was like 5:30, so I was prepared to get a call at like 5:15 or even 5:29, whatever. So me and my now wife were just kind of finding things to do all day, like cleaning the house, going out to lunch and stuff like that. So yeah, right in the middle of the afternoon, I got a call from our minor league pitching director, Corey Popham, and he delivered the good news and got to celebrate a little bit with the family after that. So yeah, it was a very, very exciting day.
Very cool.
Can I ask a little follow-up question?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead. Jump in.
So like leading up to being called up to the 40-man, like last year, I don't have so much experience with your career, but like visually, it really looks like you took a step up in your strikeouts last year.
Yeah.
Like it really does. It looks like you made an incredible jump. And what do you attribute that to?
So actually after the 2019 season, I spent 2019 in Double-A, and I did like a velocity program with the Blue Jays. Because I've had success in Double-A, but as you go up, obviously the hitters get better and stuff like that, and strikeouts are at a premium right now. So they thought that bumping a few miles an hour on the fastball would help, which I did. I think my average fastball in 2019 was right around 90, and then this year it was at 92. So it was a decent little jump, and I added a cutter as well. So now I was throwing 4 pitches and throwing a little bit harder. So I think that's I would say those are the two main reasons.
Awesome.
That's great. Mark, do you have anything else? Andrew, please jump in.
What does a velocity program entail, Zach? What do you like? Because I mean, the Blue Jays, I think, have had some success. You are one of those stories, but I think there are a few guys who have been able to bump their velocity up. But like, what literally physically does it entail?
Yeah. So for me, I grew up playing hockey, so I love it. Love hockey. But so I kind of had like strong legs, and like I always was able to like jump high and stuff like that, but I wasn't really a guy that would light up the radar gun. So my main thing was to kind of like make my lower half work a little bit more efficiently, kind of get the most out of it that I possibly can. So for me, it was a lot of like med ball throws and stuff like that to really learn how to use my lower half better. And I think that's probably the main thing that helped me gain.
And did that come about through like was the Rapsodo machine involved, or like did they, were they watching the kinetic chain to like see that, or was it just like eyeballing it, or any insight on that?
Yeah, it was more like the kinetic chain type stuff, like using video and slow-mo video and kind of comparing that to other guys in the big leagues that throw really, really hard, and some guys that are similar to my body size and how they generate power and stuff like that. And then once we kind of got into throwing, then that's when you like off the mound, that's when the Rapsodo and stuff like that kind of came into play.
Nice.
I keep wanting to interject. I'm sorry to keep extending this part.
We got all night, Joel. We got all night.
I watched this TikTok from Pitching Ninja. and
Yeah.
had Robbie Ray on it, and he was talking about how he switches the sides.
That was amazing. That was amazing. Yeah, yeah.
Didn't you see that?
Yeah,
How he
yeah, yeah.
keeps the lettering. So he's got a righty. He's facing a righty, and he keeps the letters to the outside, and he'll switch sides because he really thinks that they see the dot right when it's spinning.
Mhm.
So he does his best to. I don't know. I just thought that was
That's
amazing.
interesting.
Never heard that before. That blew my mind.
But he's not
Yeah,
superstitious.
Not at all.
No, that's science, Duncan. That's science.
Right.
That's what that is. All right, let's. Unless anybody has anything else to add to that, let's grab another one here from Discord.
Yeah, we got one. Actually, somebody just messaged in saying they're Canadian, living in Kuala Lumpur right now, and listening
Cool.
to the show. And he says, "Hi to Zach Logue. Hoping to see a lot of him this year. Looking forward to your thoughts." He says, "A question for Zach: do you prefer to set your sequences, or do you prefer that comes from what that the? I guess he means that the signs come from a catcher, so you can concentrate on your pitch."
Yeah, definitely. I guess this kind of goes back to the college thing. Like, I don't know how much college baseball you guys watch, but a lot of them have like quarterback wristbands on where the coach calls in a number and then they look at the wristband and then go from there. So I personally would much prefer a catcher. I just kind of think that the game flows better that way. I can kind of just get the ball back, and now it's just me and the catcher, and we kind of decide what to do from there. Looking at the wrist and then stepping on, it's just very, very foreign to me. So I think the catcher calling the signs is definitely my preferred method for sure.
Well, also, if you have that card, Kevin Kiermaier might steal it. So.
Exactly.
Wow, there goes Joel.
This is some foreshadowing for later in the show, but we are going to talk about that new tech being implemented at the college level, as now they're actually experimenting with wristbands for pitcher, catcher, and all other players on the field. So everybody's going to know what the pitch is, but we'll just put a button in that for now.
Just to add to that, though, Adam, like ESPN
Yeah,
showing a bunch of college baseball games now.
Hey, there you go.
Right, so we're missing out on spring training. You're watching college baseball, right? Like,
Yeah.
instead of working together, now we're working like this. It's just they're missing the boat. The owners are missing the boat.
Let me just dial up ESPN there on my Canadian TV here.
Yeah.
I was going to say it's funny because you think about all the managers that come out of the catching position. So obviously the intellect and the knowledge that a catcher gets is good for becoming a manager, but they don't respect that in-game knowledge of reading bats and seeing the break of the pitch and understanding which pitch is coming. Like, some of the greatest game callers of all time enhance the pitcher that they're with, right? A lot of we go to the stats all the time and go, oh, this guy, we want this guy pitching to this guy, or catchers having that go-to catcher, where that backup catcher is just for this one guy on the rotation. So it's just funny to be able to throw away so many baseball concepts to tech. It's just,
I wonder what it looks like in 20 years. Like,
oh man,
are the managers all catchers the way that they are now, or whatever, right? Like, so heavy on it, or have we taken that away from those great minds of the game that,
or are they robots?
young age?
Yeah.
It does take away a lot from the catching position, I think. There's a lot that goes into calling a game, and especially if we get into the robot strike zone, that's a whole different conversation, but that takes away a lot from the defensive side of the catching.
Yeah, you better hit more than 220 then if you're not going to call the game, right? Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know what? Let's just blow it right open. Let's talk about this right now because we're already well into this subject here. So for anybody who hasn't kind of picked up on what we're getting at here, there was a piece on ESPN that got tweeted out, but at Vanderbilt College and at many other colleges, I guess, they are now experimenting with, it's like a digital, I assume it's an Apple Watch, but they're just calling it a digital electronic display. But the gist is pitching coach calls the pitch location. It's relayed to the pitcher. Everybody on the field will have the wristband on them. So whether you're the shortstop, the right fielder, whoever, what pitch is coming. It's an attempt to speed up the game. It's an attempt to deal with, I guess, sign stealing. It totally takes it out of the catcher's hand, but I guess this is news to me. I didn't know that catchers at the college level weren't calling games anyways. We talked with Joe Siddle of Sportsnet, former Major League catcher. What was it, a month ago, Scott? When the robo-umps were first, I guess, introduced into AAA, when that announcement came down. And we asked him his thoughts on basically something similar, right? Like, is this the next evolution of integrating technology into the sport? And he kind of laughed.
No way.
He kind of laughed me off the show with his. He scoffed pretty hard at me, thinking that, like, I didn't think we'd be this close. I didn't think that this spring we were going to see it in college. I'm kind
I
of
wonder how much that's going to affect, like, catching is such a premium position, and to take that much of the game out of their hands, I wonder how that's going to affect their development and even how organizations view college catchers.
And Duncan mentioned it, right? Like, you better not be hitting 220 now as a catcher.
Yeah.
But that's, I think that's the argument where this, where like MLB is really going to be watching this at the college level, because I mean, if you've got a guy who's just a freak athlete behind the plate, but is a kind of an idiot, now, you've just eliminated the need for him to have anything between the ears going on, right? Like, if you can just have a guy who's got a good arm, can throw out runners, can, pick up balls in the dirt, and can hit 330 and 40 home runs, like, who cares if he can call a good game? That's what we got Pete Walker for.
Are bad catchers slowing down the game, or is it commercials and pitching changes?
No. Okay, we're not. Okay, this isn't an issue of pace of play necessarily. This is just from I own a big multi-billion-dollar team, and I want to put the best product on the field. I got an analytics department that I can pay to call the game, right? I mean, yes,
for far less than an expensive catcher. Yes.
Well, they're spending the money anyways. I don't know. I think the romance of the game, for sure. I want to see catchers calling it. I do, but it does feel like this is almost inevitable at this point. Like, am I that crazy? Like, nobody's jumping in here thinking that I'm totally on it, but I mean, we just saw
it sounds terrible. It
sounds terrible, but it's gonna happen, right? I mean, robo-ump sounded terrible 5 years ago.
Robo-umps still sound terrible.
Is it possible that they just spend 1 year where we just go back in time and we take the outline box around the strike zone, we take that away, and we just take away all the tech, and we just give you baseball straight for 1 year, and then
it's just on the radio, and you just have to listen to whether it was a ball.
They'll do that they'll do it in the Atlantic League. The Atlantic League is the sandbox, apparently.
I think they did that. What you were saying, Joe, I think they did that in the Field of Dreams game. I think they took all that. I think they just gave you straight the velo on the board. So they gave you that, but they took away the strike zone box and stuff like that.
And the umpire still sucked.
That was the most watched baseball game, regular season game in a decade or something.
Right. Yes, you're exactly right. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe some billionaire will come around and found another league that's 60 games, and you can take out slide at shortstop, and you can run over the catcher again. They just go back to old school rules, and there's just this
Ice Cube with the big threes coming with
XMLB.
Yeah, XMLB. Vince McMahon coming.
Vince McMahon.
I love it.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
I'm not sure, Adam. I call it the pitcher pager.
Pitcher pager. There you go.
They got a beeper on their thing now, right? And you're sending it in, and I don't know. I'd be
but it
curious to
also
see.
really is taking it out of the pitcher being in the moment as well, too. He knows what he's throwing well. He has a feel for what's going on, and to constantly be fastball high and inside, and you're like, well, that's I don't know.
Put one on Scherzer and see how long it takes him to rip that thing off.
One of the
football has gone that way for a long time, and everybody's that's just natural and cool that there's communication between the quarterback
it's in the headset, right? He just hears what to do.
I don't know how much it'll affect the pro game though, because you have the catchers calling the game.
Yeah.
At the professional level. So yeah, college. I mean, the college, even when I was there, as far as I have heard, the coaches were calling pitches. So that part of it doesn't really change. I guess it's just how it's kind of getting relayed to the pitcher and everybody else, I guess.
Do
If
we
you're-
all
if you
think
get the
there's
relay
no way?
thing-
Like, there's no way it comes to the pros, right?
I have a very, very hard time seeing that, unless I forget who was saying it. They have a whole analytics department saying what mathematically is the best pitch to throw. But then we're not even playing. We're not even playing baseball at that point. So yeah.
Just whatever
No,
the algorithm, whatever the algorithm says, we'll throw that.
Yeah,
We
no,
have-
I
we have-
don't think we'll see that. At least
that's
I hope
not-
If you're
That's
the
not
team using the
baseball.
watch, you can't have any more mound visits. You're not allowed mound visits if you're a team using the watch. Then
Right.
Look, okay, you guys I know I sound like a crazy kid who's like, oh, we're all gonna have VR headsets on playing baseball. I'm not, and I don't think it's a good thing. But I honestly, within 10 years, I bet you this is gonna happen. So I don't want to see it, but I don't know. Let's revisit this in 10 years for episode 1004.
The big scandal will be someone forgot to charge their watch. They're just out there
He's just out there throwing whatever he wants.
playing baseball like it used to be. Yeah.
Is it like walkie-talkies where you can get on the same like wavelength as the other team and you'll be
Yeah.
sitting
On the other team's frequency, yeah.
there?
I mean that's not like espionage can
question.
still happen even if you're all wearing Apple watches. Like
Absolutely. Yeah.
One last thing about that story that I did find interesting as a detail. Every other defensive player has the same watch, so they get insight into what pitch is coming. As far as I know, that's not something that a player would be aware of right now, right? If you're playing left field, you're not exactly aware of what pitch is being thrown, right? Duncan, go ahead.
I by no means made it anywhere close to the same level that Zach played.
Okay.
But I did play in college, and we played Canada Cup against a kid that actually went to Kentucky a while ago. It was a stud, Kyle, or all this other stuff. But they had us at the high levels that we played. The middle infielders, relayed either like fastball or off speed to the outfield.
So they
Not
did
on
know.
every team I played on, but there was a certain level of like closed fist, open fist, something to let them know what was coming. I don't know.
Right.
Zach could speak to that more at the SEC level and stuff if that's something that happens. But I do know that at a certain point we were trying to do that for our outfielders to give them a chance, kind of thing. And that's when I realized they had astigmatism and couldn't see the catcher signs when the lights were on.
Just making it up.
Oh man, I was guessing.
Well, Zach, before you jump in there and give your 2 cents, I think that's the most interesting part of all this, right? It's like, never mind taking the call like out of the catcher's ears, but just that idea of like having everyone on the field having just that extra head start on, is he likely to be behind on this pitch? Is he likely to, push it the other way, right? And if everybody is kind of like, with the way the shift has been so prioritized lately, it just feels like that's such a, okay, let's start get that half a step going, right? And every extra couple feet that you can get is a huge advantage. So I do think there's something there to be said. But Zach, if you could speak to whether or not that is a thing right now.
Yeah, I know for sure all the infielders are peeking in. And I remember in college, they definitely talked about whether it was open fist or whatever, if it was fastball or off speed, the middle infielders were relaying it to the outfielders. And I don't know how prominent that is now, in the big league level or whatever. But like you said, every foot or every step matters. So if you can kind of shade one way or the other, that could be a difference of catching a fly ball or a double off the wall, whatever it is. So yeah, I mean that, any advantage, definitely.
That's part of the.
And now, Zach, if you miss your spot, now 9 guys are going to know. I'm just your catcher.
At some point, all the fans are gonna know what I'm supposed to throw, and then I'm gonna get tomatoes thrown at me on the field and be a mess.
But that is, we're talking about, theoretical stuff but that's like part of the beauty of the game. That it would be, it would be a tragedy to lose it. And a lot of people obviously listening and watching are going to be Blue Jays fans. Like Cito Gaston was a master of picking up signs, and like that is part of the game. And not in the Astros banging a trash can way, but like that's like what's happening on the field is like it's fair game if you could pick up signals. And I think that would be a horrible idea if like we lost that, and turned it into this weird robotic thing. And I'm like, as I say that, I'm like feeling like the people who, when I started writing about baseball, I was like, these old people don't like shut up, old man, get off my lawn. But no, I think that there's a as intriguing as some of that is, I think that we would lose a lot by not just letting the guys on the field play the game.
I mean,
I
at a
agree
certain point, it was
wholeheartedly.
already brought up, but at a certain point, like, are we just gonna have robots playing every position and
Yes.
everything? Like, at some point, you just want humans to play the game of baseball
Yeah.
a bit, right?
Just not for 4 hours.
Yeah. Well, and it's like just to jump to a basketball comparison, right? It went 3 in dunks in basketball,
Yeah.
and now this year DeMar DeRozan is cooking everybody with a mid-range game.
Sure is.
Mhm.
Sure is.
Unreal, like since like better than Wilt, better than Jordan, all this stuff.
Well, that's
Maybe he's the MVP, maybe not, or whatever, right? But at what point can we just
Yeah.
enjoy that he is a master of that craft, right?
yeah.
I think the same thing has to be at a certain point with baseball. We have to go, sure, the numbers say this, but I like that a guy has to steal a base late in the game, or I like that this happens, or I like that
I like that they
Yeah.
can't shift. I like, I'm
something. Yeah.
I don't mind banning the shift, keeping the second baseman on that side of
Proper
the
side of
base.
second. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
or the shortstop or vice versa. I don't know. Like at
What
some point,
happens-
it's really about watching the guys who are great at what they do what they do, and not letting all this other stuff interfere. I was going to say another word, but I can't remember if I'm supposed to.
Live your life,
Fair enough.
Andrew.
Yeah.
I've always figured that eventually what's going to happen sometime is you're going to cycle back to a different style of the game. I know it's all home runs because strikeouts are so up, so you got to hit home runs to score runs consistently. But to me, like one day I would love to see a team of Tony Gwynn's out there not striking out at all, putting the ball in play all the time, knowing how to advance the runner, knowing how to bunt, speed, stealing 70, 80 bases a game because you've got a
And that
catcher
is-
who isn't
That
incredible.
is something
80
we're
bases a
seeing more
game?
of, right? Like,
No, and again, sorry, 70
Okay.
bases a year. I'm sorry I said that.
I was like, now that's a game.
I was going too fast there.
All right.
My mouth was going fast in my brain.
That might be a 4-hour game.
But when you think about catchers being totally immobilized, right, and you're putting a 40 home run guy back there who isn't as defensively able, right? You've got a guy who can't block anymore, so you've got the ability to steal a base more often, right? A pitcher isn't caring so much about the runner. They care more about executing a pitch, right? So it opens up the opportunity for that different style, that Jackie Robinson style of baseball to come back. And I would love it. And a team that goes tech crazy opens up the possibility for a team to go completely old school. So,
Well, the market will eventually determine.
the invisible hand.
They'll find inefficiencies eventually.
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe that will happen, but I think you're right. Yeah, it would be amazing. Like I'm older than probably everybody else here, and yeah, that was really cool. That was great, and I would like baseball like that with balls in play. I don't think we'll ever get back to it, but it would be great. I totally agree, Joel. Like if a team figured out how to make a more efficient team by going after guys who just are slap hitters that put the ball in play and play like the 85 Cardinals, that would be incredible. I doubt that's going to happen, but I think it would be bad to put conditions in place to
yes.
make it so it couldn't happen. Though I still would ban the shift.
Ban the shift. Yeah. I agree with you guys, but also I have a 17-year-old nephew who spends more time watching people play video games than he spends playing video games himself. And I just think this whole next generation is so far different than us. They're going to welcome all this tech in, and we're going to be so miserable about it.
It's going to become so offensive to us.
It's going to be brutal. Okay, Mark, you got a comment on from the YouTube live chat there that's relevant. Let's go to that.
Yeah, we got a comment here saying, wouldn't it be odd if there was a network issue in the middle of the game with all this new technology, leaving all the players confused as to what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, just Wi-Fi goes down, and all of a sudden, I mean, it's
Boom. That's it. Nobody knows what's pitch.
hopefully if that happens, it's like 20 years into this experiment, and everybody really is dumbfounded.
Somebody
Hopefully
hacked
we've
the tech.
we've eliminated network issues in 20 years.
I once
Buffering, but and buffering by the end of our lifetimes.
No more
I
net
once,
lag.
it's funny though when technology does go down, how like paralyzed people are by it. Like I remember one time I was at the mall in Vancouver, and the escalator just stopped working. Like it just shut down in the middle of being a moving staircase, and for probably 12 seconds everyone just stood there like, what do we do? Like the moving stairs stop moving, what now? And it's like, oh yeah, they're just stairs.
We're trapped.
We can do this. Like we all bonded together and we survived. So
You held hands.
It's actually a commercial where that happened, and the people were just standing on the escalator yelling for help the whole time. I forget what the ad was for, but yeah.
it must have been a good ad then. All right, let's you got anything else from Discord here before we move on to the next one, Mark?
Yeah, we can find something. Let's go. One for Andrew, or anybody can tune in. No, Andrew, your blog is called The Bat Flip. Is that your favorite moment in Jays history? And if not, what is?
It is. I gave away my ticket to that game because I was sick, which is a regret.
Wow.
Oh man.
Wow.
You know.
I love that we're all in the middle of a pandemic, and even after you said that, we're like, "Oh, come on, go sick."
Isn't that what Goodwill Hunting is about? Isn't that right? Robin Williams missed that game where Carlton. Oh, right. Did you meet your wife or something at least that night? Because that's what happened to him. Sorry.
She was not in the couch in my parents' basement. But I'm old enough to remember Joe Carter, which I also watched on TV. But no, the bat flip is, that it's weird because it's so unusual, I think, in sports. Maybe this is because I like a lot of loser teams, because it doesn't like it resonates with me in a my fandom does not extend. I'm not a Yankees fan. I'm not a Dodgers fan or Lakers, but so teams with different sort of ways of existing, you got to take what you can get. And like that bat flip game was like our World Series. And I think that was like, just the way that let the pressure out of that, because I know what that build. I was at earlier games in that series, but I was too sick to go to the stupid bat flip game, and I gave my ticket away. But yeah, like I can't imagine a more, the Raptors had better moments in that like championship run, like with Kawhi, but
Shakespeare
it's really
close.
Yeah, like that was right, exactly, well put. Right. And like it was, and that's what's beautiful. It is beautiful about not just baseball but all sports, is that it's not about your team can't win every year, but you're still there every year because there's indelible moments and there are things that happen that are just otherworldly. And just the way that the city was at the time, where you would get in a cab and people the cabbie would have the game on, and you would get in Starbucks, in the line at Starbucks the next morning, and people would be talking about the game, and just like that whole atmosphere, and and especially because it was like so surprising, and so everybody was blasé about the team because they were 51 and 52 or whatever it was at the time of the trade deadline. Like that was just such a special time, and that was such a a culmination of it, even though it wasn't the series we wanted them to win. But yeah, I think that was that. Yeah,
take it back.
Hard to argue that was not as great a moment.
Take it back to that Red Sox home run, though. They didn't win the World Series then either, right? And it still that home run lasted for ever. The Carlton Fisk home run.
Yeah, I thought you were. Yeah, Carl. I wasn't sure if you were old enough to be in Carlton Fisk, but yeah, of course, yeah, that's an indelible home run. And like it's like the Reds won that World Series, but that
Reds won that World Series.
Such a moment, yeah, and those matter as much as championships sometimes. And maybe I'm kidding myself by trying to believe that.
No,
Also, I wish I hadn't given my ticket away.
All right. Duncan, I'm going to out you as a Phillies fan. Is that a Phillies hoodie you've got on right now?
No, that's an Oh My hoodie.
Oh, okay. Good.
We're for the brand, yeah.
All
Don't
right.
worry.
Good.
I wouldn't do that to you guys on your show.
Let's just tweak that comment a little bit then and throw it your way. What is your number one memorable Phillies moment?
Oh, easily the Matt Stairs home run off Jonathan Bronxton.
Oh,
Yeah. That's a
100%. As soon as they hit that one, I went, we're going to win the World Series.
legend. Matt
So-
Stairs,
Yeah.
Canadian
That's-
legend.
For
Canadian
anybody,
boy, yeah.
for anybody who maybe
Into
isn't a
the
Phillies fan tuning in,
Into the night.
can
Oh
you
my
just
gosh. Yeah, I've got goosebumps
give
right
some
now.
context for that home run?
Oh,
I'm really putting you on the spot here,
man,
but
the
that's all right.
Phillies suck. We're terrible. We're the first organization to whatever 10,000 losses, whatever it is, a million. Like just all they lose all the time, and they were so bad for so many years. And then you have this. You got Howard and Rollins and Utley and it was Hamels at the time and Ruiz and all these guys coming up. And
Cliff Lee at that point was he
Lee
later?
and eventually Halliday.
he was they tried
Halliday
to get
wasn't, but
Eventually Halliday.
He was on the
Eventually. I
winning
don't know
team.
what was his name.
Lee was on the next one when they went
Yeah.
back and they lost the Yankees. I feel like, and it was
that
just
sounds right. Yeah.
And then you make the playoffs, and the year before they make the playoffs, and then they get beat by the Rockies, and the Rockies go to the World Series, and you're like, man, this is just we're gonna have a good team, but we suck. Like we just can't do it. And then you go up against the Dodgers, and the Dodgers weren't quite the Dodgers yet, but they were still the big bad LA Dodgers with the big payrolls and all these things, right? And I mean, as a Canadian kid, and then you got Matt Stairs, and he comes up and like,
Yeah,
I couldn't even tell you what inning it was in.
you're
now,
jumping
like,
off your couch now.
but like when he got a hold of that thing, and it's like into the night, and it's just it's gone as soon as he hits
Yeah.
it, and you're like, that's it. Like we
And
can.
Matt
away we
Stairs
go.
is just could not be an athlete in any other sport.
So Matt Stairs, the best story I have about Matt Stairs is that I had a couple buddies that are from out east, and they said every time in the on deck circle, he said to himself, "All right, Matty, let's see how far we can hit this one." Like he was going up there with one job. There's a reason he has the most pinch hit home runs of all time. Like,
Yeah.
that was his job, and he knew it. And I mean, he delivered right there.
I
and
think
it's like,
that's what Joey Votto's been telling himself the last couple of years now.
This, if I may, I got two questions for Zach. First of all, do we know who you grew up watching? For one, please let us know. And then two,
Yes.
pitchers hitting, because I feel that the Matt Stairs, the pinch hitter thing, like that's just one of these unique things that happens. I also hate the idea that pitchers have to hit because everybody's so specialized. But Zach, who did you grow up rooting for? And also, how do you feel about hitting? Would you like to hit if you're once you get to the big leagues?
Right. So I grew up in Cincinnati. So I grew up a Cincinnati Reds fan. Ken
Like
Griffey
Pat
Jr.
Tabler. Like Pat
Yes.
Tabler.
Yeah, Ken Griffey Jr. was kind of my guy up growing up.
Oh yeah.
And to throw it over to the Phillies, I remember in 2010 when the Phillies and the Reds played, and Roy Halladay threw that no-hitter against the Reds in the playoffs. That was kind of the first time the Reds had some hype in a long time, and the Phillies just, man, did they stomp everybody's hopes and dreams in Cincinnati that series. But for the pitchers hitting, I told a few people that if I had one big league hit, I could die a happy man. That would be one. But I think overall it's probably a good thing. Nobody needs to see Zach Logue or whoever the heck it is walking up trying to hit off of Jacob deGrom or Max Scherzer or whoever it is. Like we have no chance. I think it's probably better. I think more recently most of the pitchers have gone up there just trying not to get hurt anyway. So they're just giving away at bats. I feel like they don't quite bunt as much as they used to. So I think with the way that stuff is kind of going, I think it's probably for the best that the pitchers don't hit.
Despite being you're a fan of an NL team, and yet you don't like pitchers hitting.
except if they put a
Love it.
position.
I love it.
Pitchers should hit.
I love it.
What's that,
What's
Duncan?
I just said when they put the position players in to mop up, they should let the pitchers hit then. and then Zach could get
there you go.
his base hit.
Oh, that's a great idea.
That has been a topic of discussion. Whenever a position player comes in, there should be a rule that the pitchers should have to face him. I think that should be a rule.
Yeah,
I love it.
Because then I have a shot.
That's right. Yeah.
That's great.
That's brilliant.
All right, so let's pivot now. Actually, you know what? Let's do one more from Discord, and then we're gonna move on to the Juan Soto mega deal that wasn't enough. So, Mark, you got one more from Discord?
Yeah, this is ties in nicely with the fact that Zach's from Cincinnati. There's a lot of rumors recently about the Jays being in touch with the Reds for guys like Castillo, Gray, Maley. Why would the Reds trade these guys? They have a good cheap rotation with years of control. What's in it for the Reds?
Scott, I know.
Really good question.
Not for anybody
Zach, you don't
specific. It
have to
wasn't
take this.
directed at me. Sorry.
Oh, I think it's because the Reds owners are cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a few years where they had Sonny Gray, and they had a few years where they kind of like were hoping that. And Wade Miley, I don't know why they didn't re-sign him. So there's been kind of some peculiar moves going on. So it seems like they're kind of in the rebuild. I don't know. It makes not a whole lot of sense.
Like, I guess if they need to shed money, like maybe if the ownership has gone to the front office and been like, listen, we need to shed salary, then I could see why they would maybe move these guys. But that's the thing, like Luis Castillo, $10 million a year for the next 2 years. Like, same with Gray. Like, Molly is what? I think he's gonna average $6 million a year for the next 2 years. Like, it's a good question. I don't know. Like, unless you can package them with Moustakas or something, and you're just in it to move money. I don't know why you wouldn't stick with that rotation. It's a pretty good rotation.
They just see it as a long-term thing, right? Like, if they're not going to contend in the next 2-3 years anyways, does it matter how much money they're saving or how sweet of a deal it is, like, just to finish 500 and miss the playoffs? Whereas, like, these guys are at the peak of their value in terms of, like, what we get back in trade, whether that's, you know, prospect capital or draft picks. So maybe they're just looking at it from that perspective as like.
Well, I think you're mistaking the Reds owners as people who want to own a baseball team that wins games, as opposed to be a profit extraction machine and use the fact that, you know, the way that the economic system of the game is set up allows them to be bad and make a lot of money and not pay guys as much.
You know what's a better deal
that to me feels like maybe more about what they're up to.
Like, you know what's a better deal than $10 million a year is league minimum.
We get all this like national TV money, and we don't even have to pay our players. Perfect. Like, they seem very happy with it.
Oldest,
which is why that should not be the way it is. But yeah.
All right. Well, if anybody has nothing else to add, let's move on to Juan Soto. Was offered a 325 million? No, 350 million over 13 years from the Washington Nationals, and he pretty quickly said no to that.
Mm-hmm.
Joel, you think that was a good call?
Well, yeah, I think Corey Seager signing what he signed in Texas makes all of these players think that feel like they're worth $100 million more. If Corey Seager makes $325 million, has never hit 30 home runs, has never knocked in 100 runs, has never done any of those things, and all these guys go, I'm going to hit 40 home runs, I'm going to knock in 120. I'm Juan Soto, I'm Tatis, I'm Acuna, like players that are of another ilk. They want 450 now because this guy here got 325. I really feel like that's why Carlos Correa became like, if Corey Seager signs for 195, 225, everything makes sense. The world makes sense. But no, he signed for 325. So Carlos Correa is worth $740 million, right? And Juan Soto is worth $1.2 billion. And like, you know, it's just, The entire
Well,
metric system got shifted.
Maybe if Soto had gotten a hit against the Red Sox there in the last day of the season, I would agree. But otherwise, no, I don't rate him. Frankly, I don't think he's very good. I watched that game and I feel he could have got a hit there.
Juan Soto, overrated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how much do we think Soto would get then? Could Soto be the first $500 million guy? Do you think that big $500 million is in his?
Before anyone chimes in, I just want to point out that currently the biggest total dollar contract is Mike Trout at $426 million over 12 years.
Oh, that guy.
Oh,
You've heard of him, right? Anybody who watches playoff baseball has never heard of him, but
shade.
that's not a shot at Mike Trout. That's a shot at the Angels organization. I just want to clarify that. I love Mike Trout. Expanded playoffs. Let's
Mike,
get him
if you're
in there.
listening, it's not about you.
Yeah, Mike, come on the show.
Let's look at the 4 eras of players. Okay, let's go to Bonds. Let's go to A-Rod. Let's go to Trout, and then this new crop. Okay. They were signing Bonds for 4 years, $40 million at his prime. A-Rod goes to 10 years, $250. Trout goes to what, 13, $430 is what you said?
Yeah.
These guys are going to want that jump. These 22-year-old players are going to want that $100 million jump on Trout. 520. They're going to want to sign something like that. It's just, the money just says it is. The money just says that's where it's going.
Milk costs more, and so does an outfielder.
And then the league minimum will bump it up.
It's the other way.
Minor leaguers.
$10,000 or so. Yeah.
Yeah, we got to stop paying minor leaguers for spring training so we can pay for that extra league minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's going to get a big payday.
That's my question, Adam. Do you think does he go somewhere else, or does Washington still have a chance to keep him?
Well, I think they do have a chance to keep him. I mean, I don't think you're able to offer anybody $350 million without being able to offer them $400 million. If they weren't able to Houston is in a different situation with Carlos Correa, right? They're just not going to offer Carlos Correa $400 million. That's not in the cards for them. I think
they ruined their TV dollars for a while by being terrible for 5 years.
The Nationals still have 3 years with Soto, so that gives them lots of time to still work something out, figure out where their priorities are at. One thing though, by doing this, by making this offer and having it be rejected, I think there are now 29 other teams who never even considered putting Juan Soto in one of their uniforms, who are now thinking, how could we make that work?
I just love the Yankees fans being like, Juan Soto would fit so perfectly with this team. It's like, okay, you're brilliant. Yeah.
A team that can't do it.
He would fit in pretty much anywhere. I think everybody would love to have Juan Soto in 3-hole or whatever he is.
I think Clint Frazier for Juan Soto. Who says no?
I think when we first heard this news, I think everybody's assumption was like, well, the Yankees will be in on him. But I think another likely team owner who was salivating at that news was Cohen in New York as well. Division rival there, the New York Mets. I don't know, 3 years from now, that's why not, right?
Well, hopefully the Yankees have tied up a bunch of money in Aaron Judge by then. $300 million.
Hopefully we still exist as a species
as a
3 years
league.
from now.
Andrew's getting bleak about Ukraine right now. So
the wild thing to think about is all of those next generation players that can demand that type of money. 2 of them are on the Blue Jays.
I know. Oh, gross. I mean, that's
Bichette
great.
will be able to ask for something. Honestly, you look at Bichette putting up 820 OPS last year. Mm-hmm. He could put up 880, 900 this season and just put himself on an absolutely another level.
He led the American League in hits. And he didn't even hit.
He never felt comfortable all season.
Yeah.
And he did that. And I feel you looked at those 2 years where Guerrero wasn't like, he was stuttering a little bit, and you're like, you'd never sign him then, but then he hits a level that you're like, oh damn, why did we sign him, right? And if that happens for Bichette too, that could happen back-to-back seasons and he already played so well last year, but I think Bichette could take another jump, and you've got two guys on this team that are that type of money player. So but you look at Machado and Tatis signing 630 in San Diego, and that makes other, mid-market teams with good money think that they can do it too, right? So Washington should be able to think that they can sign someone.
I think, like you brought up Seager earlier, like Seager and Marcus Semien signing with Texas, which is not a team that's ready to win.
Yeah.
Which I think also was kind of like
interesting.
a signal to the union about solidarity, perhaps, or about like, you want to get paid as much as you can for the next guy, even if you're going to go and be on a bad team for a while, because you only have so long to get as much money out of this sport as you can. And you put so much of your life into it, and absolutely everybody should. But yeah, that if that's the call that goes, if that becomes pervasive, and maybe this is just a moment because of like, obviously the CBA ending and their lockout being imminent, that was maybe only like a unique situation for those guys. Maybe that goes away, but ideally those top players and players of every level try to keep pushing as much as they can to get as much as they can from these owners, and that would be great. But it would also look weird. It would also look like, Machado playing for the Padres and Seager and Semien playing for the Rangers. But I don't know. Anyway, Rogers and the Blue Jays have enough money to just pay these guys what they're worth, and I pay my cable bill every. I don't have cable. I pay my internet bill or phone bill or whatever it is. Well, I owe Rogers money every month.
Those two guys,
and you know what? I feel I've almost paid $100 million anyway, so the rest of it should be easy.
Joel, go ahead.
Bichette and Guerrero create a brand for 15 years on this team, so that's something that you got to think about.
Yeah,
that's long-term investment. You got to pay a lot of money, but how much you get back?
Mm-hmm. And they're not just good at baseball; like they're marketable.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Those type.
And you have generational. I mean, you just happen to get two guys with whatever, like pedigree,
like legacy.
Yeah, just all is cool.
Yeah, man. Like Bo's got that new generation image and everything.
Yeah.
And Vladdy's like next generation Big Poppy. He's that big smiling guy who can go and hit a ball at Max Scherzer at the All-Star game and get away with a hug. Like, who else can get away with hugging Max Scherzer?
But if you considered that they could pay a guy much less to be slightly less better, which is how they all think.
They do. It's true.
Sucks.
So earlier this year, we kind of, as Blue Jays fans, all worried about down the road, how is this team going to pay two $300 million contracts? How are we going to make that work, right? We all lived through Green and Delgado, right? Green had to leave because there wasn't enough money for both of them, right? We talked to Sean Green about it.
Had to leave.
We talked to Sean Green about it, and that was his story, and he's sticking to it, is that...
fair, but I feel that I'm not sure that Rogers couldn't have afforded to pay. Well, I don't know if that happened when Rogers owned the team, but nonetheless.
Even at the time, the Toronto ownership could have afforded to pay him. But
that's sort of the thing about billionaires, yeah.
All right, so 6 months ago, we weren't sure how this team was going to afford two $300 million contracts. And now Juan Soto wants to push the high water mark up into the 500 millions. How is this team going to afford two conservatively $400 million contracts?
But also 2 years ago or less than that, they never had a $100 million contract. And then they've got Springer and they've got Gossman and they've got Barrios. Like, it turns out these teams are quite lucrative.
Who would have thought?
Yeah,
Who would have thought?
It's weird. It's weird, but apparently they are.
All right. Well,
I think they'll be okay. I think they can do it. I think Rogers communications with I think they can do it. I
I
believe
think
The
in
one
them.
hope I do have that they do these mega contracts is the whole reason they were able to get Shapiro and Atkins to come from Cleveland, where they already went through a very painful rebuild to put a winning team on that field, and then to pry them away from Cleveland to go through all that pain again. There had to have been an incentive in there where they're like, once you get there, unlike Cleveland, you can keep the players. I don't know.
I have a theory about that, which is that it is perhaps related to the fact that the Blue Jays were shut out of revenue sharing because they changed it in the previous CBA to be based on market size as opposed to like self-reported revenue. And it was like, Toronto, your market size is enormous. You will never get revenue sharing. And it turns out the Blue Jays, after they got shut out of revenue sharing, decided, oh, well, I guess we have to spend more. And
Maybe it is worth putting a winning product on the field all of a sudden. Yeah,
which I think is probably which is what is driving in the CBA negotiations that are happening right now. The players union, I assume, as making an issue of like, hey, change the revenue sharing formula because it does impel teams to spend more when they don't get so much money back, just out of being the Cincinnati Reds and just loafing along around, and just sucking up the money that's already there in the system. My hope has always been, and I've done okay like predicting about this, but I had no idea. But my hope at the start, and has sort of been borne out, is that Shapiro and Atkins were here to do the thing that they were able to do in Cleveland, or do the thing Shapiro was able to do in Cleveland, but actually have money to to do even better. And I don't know that means that they're not going to be Steve Cohen, they're not going to be the Mets, they're not going to be the Dodgers, and go against the commissioner's office and explode payroll past what the threshold of the luxury tax is, which is obviously why that's an issue as well with the negotiations. But yeah, I think that they've shown for the last few years that that's what the Toronto Blue Jays can be and should be. And probably have to be, because they're no longer able to just suck in revenue sharing money.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. All right, let's pivot here back to Discord before we talk about expanded playoffs. Mark, you had a comment from YouTube for Zach?
Yeah. Zach, is there any particular player you look forward to striking out in the major leagues?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. I haven't really thought. So I have a friend, his name's Evan White. He plays first base for the Seattle Mariners.
Yeah.
So we're really good friends. We were in each other's wedding. So stepping up there and have him step in the box and hopefully striking him out would probably be a pretty big highlight for me.
Hopefully in Seattle with a bunch of Blue Jays fans invading the ballpark. Too.
Exactly. And we can just rub it right in his face. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I'm going to put money right now. I have a feeling it's going to be Joey Gallo for some reason.
Joey Gallo. All right. See, that's a scary guy in the box, but hopefully the left on left will help me out a little bit.
Well, then the numbers favor you on strike.
Stack up in my favor.
We know where it's going.
Well, Yankees fans on Twitter say he's terrible, so that's probably true.
Well, then we all know that's the truth.
Andrew just mentioned the Jays fan contingent there in Seattle. Just out of curiosity, who all's been to a Blue Jays game in Seattle here? I know I've been to a couple, but Joel, Scott, Andrew, never been.
No.
Duncan's
Pretty
never made the
awesome.
trip down. Oh yeah, it's wild because it is probably 5-1 Blue Jays fans. Like Mariners.
Opposite of Buffalo.
They get so mad from from Twitter. They get
upset.
so mad.
It's awesome.
It's a home away from home, Zach. So when you go out there to play, it's a lot.
I've heard that, and yeah, so really looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's
Really looking forward to it.
All right, Mark, you have one more from Discord before we move on?
Yeah. Let's see. Duncan, this question is for you. He said, I was checking out the Team Oh My Instagram. A lot of cool designs. Just curious if you had one you're most proud of. And when you design a logo, what's the process like?
Ooh, good question. Joel, you want to take this? So go ahead, Duncan.
Process wise, I've talked about it a couple of times, even I think with Adam and Scott on the podcast and stuff. It always starts in my sketchbook. I'm very much sketch it out, kind of map stuff out, and then from there, if it seems worthy of it, then it gets onto the computer and work on it digitally.
And your favorite logo is the Walkoff, right?
Yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, I mean, the Walkoff logo proudly designed by Duncan at Oh My there. So
That's true. Yeah.
So patient with us. Scott and I gave him like no direction that was helpful.
He's like, "What do you guys want?" We're like, "We don't know."
Yeah, not this, not this.
Yeah, we give him a bunch of things we don't want.
Yeah, we told him what we didn't want. Yeah.
So, no, and he revised it about 100 times.
It's hard to say a favorite. I don't know. The ones that sell the best? Like, I don't know. Here's one, because I've done a few. I mean, I work with a lot of baseball teams. I do custom stuff for them. But I did a Sandlot tee that had a little home plate on the front, but on the back was a number 3, and it had all the Babe Ruth nicknames from the Sandlot.
Cool.
Dalton the Swat, King of Clash, Clutch of the Clout, even had Clutch of the Clout or whatever, because the Twins say it and stuff. And like, I think that one, the marketing on it kind of missed, but it was one of my favorite ones. And when people go, "Oh, what are all these names or whatever," and you can put them onto the Sandlot movie if they haven't seen it or something like that.
Yeah,
it's a classic. So yeah,
very
go
cool.
with that one. Yeah,
very cool. All right. So expanded playoffs look likely in one form or another. Currently at 10-team playoffs. Owners want 14. Sounds like the players want 12. Where's everyone stand? Scott, I know you are old man yelling at the sky when it comes to expanded playoffs, so I'm curious where Andrew fits into here, if he's also old man about the expanded playoffs or if he welcomes a expansion of playoff teams.
I'm just sort of resigned to the fact that it's going to happen because that's, the revenue is there and the owners want that. I don't think it's great. I would love to see them do something like they do in Japan, where it's like they'll have a series where a team starts a game behind and on the road, and I think you could make. I think it's important to preserve the integrity of winning your division, winning your league, all that stuff. And I also think it's important to not have teams below 500 win the World Series or be in it. Whatever I think about it, I think I'm just like at the point where it's going to happen. So let's make it happen as best as we can, as opposed to like, let's fight about whether it's going to happen or not, because it's going to happen.
It is going to happen.
That wrinkle in Japan is
where would you rather see it land, 12 or 14?
I mean, 12 would be better, but also, I mean, the player, clearly just even as part of this like CBA stuff, there's only so much the players can concede that the owners are actually interested in. That's one area, and it's like that's something that they need to hold close, I think. And I would start at 12, but I would like 14. I could deal with, but like I say, I think it should be. You need to keep the integrity of the 162 game season, and you also have to be cognizant of the fact that as much as you're and this is Blue Jays fans, I think understand this well. It's like, oh, if there were extra playoff teams for the last 20 years, the Blue Jays would have had better times Blue Jays fans would have had more interest in August, September, even, many years earlier than that, which I think is good and good for the game. You want more people to be more excited for longer, but also that has problems that, if when there are teams that are, they don't have to care from June onward is also a problem, right? And I think that you need to make sure that it is that it's about competition. That's really what the whole thing is about, obviously. And you want to make.
I just look at 2021 and you break down the teams, and 15 of the 30 MLB teams finished under 500, and it's just I mean, maybe more playoff spots does create incentive for these teams, these middle teams that are right on the fringe, rather than scaling back and trying to rebuild, to actually sign some baseball players, the baseball players in free agency that always wind up being left behind because it's just cheaper for the Rays to pay somebody minimum salary, right?
Joel,
But
And
go
I
ahead.
think also it's good for October to be baseball and to be like, to have that spectacle and pull people in and make it, exciting, which I think you could do if you did, play-in tournaments or did something creative. I have no faith whatsoever in the current people who are running the game to like do that. But I think you could do it. I think you could expand it and do it in a way that preserved the integrity of the full season and also made the playoffs competitive and interesting. I'm also resigned to the fact that they'll never be able to do that either.
I really like that wrinkle you mentioned from the Japan playoffs. I'd never heard of that before, where you say like the lower seed starts a game behind. I assume you just mean like in a best
that's a
of,
compelling game.
in
It's
a
like,
best
I don't know
of-
if I don't know if it's 5 or 7, but it's like it's like the lower seed
has to win an
starts
extra game.
has to win. It's like best of 6, but the lower seed has to win 3, but the first seed has to win 2. I don't know if that's best of. I can't do math, but
Interesting wrinkle
but-
there.
any and that's obviously, baseball has this thing where you have to sort of like placate the traditionalists and think about like, because obviously part of the appeal and part of like what's beautiful about baseball is that it's just, it's an old game. But yeah, I think that would be. I think if you're going to expand the playoffs anyway, you can't just do it. You can't just be like the NBA or NHL where it's just like, the 8 seed could beat the 1 seed and go. You want to preserve the meaning of winning your division, winning your league.
No,
that's what 162 games are for. If it doesn't matter if it only matters whether you get into the top 8, why are you playing that many games?
So do you think that it is advantageous in a 14-team playoff to have the best team in each league have a 5-day break? Do you think getting a bye in the first round?
That I don't
good?
know.
I
think
hate that idea.
Talk to that because I think just because a 5-game break is weird, right? And I don't you wouldn't want to, like, routine obviously is very important.
I'd be curious to hear Zach's take on that. Like what from
kind of what you're saying. Like you want to obviously place a premium on being the best team in each league, winning your division and all that. So like the best way to do that is giving the number 1 overall seed a bye. But 5 games is realistically a full week of travel and an off day mixed in there. So that's a really, really long time for a team not to be playing games, coming off of playing a game almost every single day. So I almost wonder if do 12 or 14, do you do a 3-game series and then you go 7 in the CS, 7 or DS, and then CS, and then the World Series? Do 7 there, or do you? I'm not really sure. But yeah, like it's very hard because I think people that were given that long of a time off would not like it because pitchers are so routine oriented and not seeing. I mean, I'm sure you do scrimmages and stuff like that, but not seeing another team, not getting in a game situation for that long would be very, very tough.
And that's supposed to be an advantage, and yet you come back without having played for 5 days, and there goes most of that advantage anyway. Yeah.
Look how hot the Blue Jays were through September, right? Like, I know we were talking about barely squeaking into the playoffs, right? But if it was that same exact team and they were fighting to get that number 1 seed, and now the hottest team in baseball has 5 days off, that's rough. That's rough. I don't like 14 teams.
It kills a lot of momentum.
I'd rather see 16 teams than 14, but I'd also rather 12 than either of those. So, Joel, do you have any input on the playoffs?
The only note, like I was so busy this weekend, I wasn't prepared for the show at all. The only note I had down was Japanese getting 1 game advantage. And
Andrew took it.
And then walked out of the room. And then left
only
the
note
room.
I had. But I think that no, I was just saying, I think that's an interesting trade-off. The time, potentially 5 or more, even 6 days off, is a game advantage. Where does that trade-off? You're like, well, we get a game, but we lose our momentum. And the thing that I wanted to say about the adding more teams is it really gives the opportunity to see the stars. Like we've still yet to see Trout in really perform in the postseason. He had one appearance, which you can hardly call an appearance.
And so like, Ted Williams making it to one World Series and stuff like that, making it so that you get more opportunity to see stars in the postseason, I think is great for baseball. So
Yeah, I totally agree. I was thinking about this, about the diehards like us, and we're gonna watch throughout the summer. But to Joel's point, when it's prime time and they have those days in the fall where it starts at 11 or whatever out west here, and it's all day and it's action packed, means something. And if that was Trout, Tatis, boom, 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 Vladdy and Bichette, that's how you grow the game.
Yeah.
And
think about that first round of the playoffs for hockey, right?
Yeah.
Like that 16
Exactly.
team all stars.
Exactly. And I saw something today that they were proposing where the higher seed could pick who they played.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, so maybe we're not all as boring. Like maybe Manfred and whoever, all these other clowns, like maybe we can borrow a little bit from the NBA with the play-in tournament and some other stuff and not be so stuck in our ways. Because like, I think that's pretty cool. Like, hey, we called our shot, and like, I guarantee, like, I've got it queued up. So who's the team? Who's the first high seed that picks a lower seed, and then they get beat? And and I took that personally, Jordan Meade.
Oh yeah, think about the locker room fodder on that one, eh?
Yeah, the thing, like they chose to play us. Oh, okay, let's take it to them, right? Like, that's a really cool.
Yeah, that fires you up instantly. That fires up.
You're almost creating a rivalry out of that. You're creating a rivalry out of nothing. You're like, all right, last year these guys picked us, and they. They took it to us a little bit. Now, like we got, and I was just going to say the same thing. You have more fan bases into it for longer.
Totally.
That's how you grow the game.
And then even just like, who do you pick?
Yeah.
If you're Cincinnati, do you pick somebody close by? If you're so-and-so, do you pick the further, like, what do you, there's all kinds of things that then go into it.
Do you pick a division team because you've seen them so many times, or do you not pick a division team because you've seen them so many times?
Exactly.
Or is this just solely based on the analytic departments, and they're just like, no, we'll tell you who you're playing.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
So we're not letting Snell pick it because he felt good going into the sixth inning.
Oh man, no, it's wild. I don't know. I think that, let's just hypothetically a 16 team playoff. I think that Japan solution would be an interesting way to solve that, because I know that's the big thing against doing a 16 team playoff, right? Is that it really waters down the meaning of what we
the
just did for the
16th
last
best
162
team
games.
it, yeah.
So, but at least if it was like all the top seeds only have to win 2 games to advance, and all of the bottom seeds have to win 4 or something, right? Like, it really would be a big, significant advantage still to only have to.
And you think about how many ingenuity. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
In 90 games, you're in automatically. So one time we have 12, one time we have 14, one time we have, like, you know what I mean? Like, they're never going to do something that crazy, but it's like, how come the Jays weren't in the playoffs? They won 90 games.
I like that. 90 wins and you're in. I like that. That's a good system.
The benchmark is 10. There's 10 teams automatically, but we could have as many as, I don't know what the math says, but like as many as 14 if we get a bunch of teams winning 90 games.
Now that is what we like to call expanded playoffs. It's a floating expansion.
Now let's say they do get crazy, right? Let's say they do get crazy and go 16 teams. There's no way it could still be a 162 game season, right? Like at some point there's got to be some sort of concession where we're not going to play these games and then still also have like 5 playoff rounds.
I had a point on that. If you take it down to 156, does that in the fans' mind make 60 home runs, 61 home runs, 62 home runs almost like reaffirming that as a home run chase? You can home run chase now for 62, right? Like 73 in 162, probably impossible. But new balls, 2019 balls, I don't want that, but some sort of mix of that with with Guerrero hitting 48 at 22 is the 62 in 156 become possible, and you get a home run chase maybe in 10 years.
Can we finally bury Roger Maris is what you're saying?
Something again, like that, Andrew reading between the lines. That's what he's here for.
Amazing. All right. Well, let's
also apologies if you can hear the Smiths being played really loud behind me.
No, we can't hear a thing. Nobody
Good.
All
can hear a
good.
thing.
Perfect.
You sound like a crazy man. That is all.
Wow.
All right. So just two last things here to talk about. Thanks again for everybody for joining us today. This has been a super lot of fun. Before we get to those, Mark, do you have anything left in Discord for us to get to?
Yeah, somebody asked, they were talking about the slam dunk contest. They called it a joke and wanted to get your thoughts.
Oh, did anybody see the slam dunk?
Anybody
contest
watch the
this
slam
weekend?
dunk contest? I did not, so I'm just going with what he said.
Well, you can't be 8 for 25 in your first round of dunks and call yourself.
I do think though that baseball should think about they don't have the skills game, but like the home run derby during the All-Star break, they should do more weird stuff. The
Yeah.
bunt contest,
I agree.
throw from
radar
outfield to
gun.
home kind of, there's all sorts of interesting things that baseball could do, which I don't think
Yeah.
they do.
We talked about that like last week, 2 weeks ago, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
doing some funky
exit
stuff.
velo and stuff like
Road
that.
golf.
Yeah.
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 The long
Yeah,
launch
Zach,
cost
Zach,
is
what
my
would be
favorite
what would be
idea.
your best event? Zach? What's your best event?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think
Sorry.
what I think I could fare pretty well in the bunt contest.
Really?
Okay.
Very well in the bunt contest.
Precision.
All
The
right.
bunting.
NHL skill stuff is so cool. Like the hardest slap
Is it
shot,
it?
the targets in the net, the speed skate. Like they do a lot. I love watching that stuff. And yeah, like, they
Did
could
you
do a lot
guys
more.
ever see the video of Jackie Bradley Jr. from behind home plate? He takes that running start and he fired the ball and it cleared the center field wall. Like, that's the sort of shit I want to see at the MLB All-Star game, right? Like,
Right.
Like those old QB challenges that they used to have on ESPN.
Yes.
Too. Like, let's give a coach or whoever a go and you got to try to hit spots and stuff. Like,
Yeah, right.
like
There's
that. I
so
like
many
that.
options for some fun stuff. Like even like the comparables to the NHL hardest slap shot, right? Is just you get all your guys with big arms and you just whip it as hard as you can against the radar gun and see who can, hit like 115 or whatever stupid velocity you can when you're not worried about
Until
control.
someone hurts themselves.
Until
I
someone
think,
gets
I think
hurt.
that's
That's
probably going to have to be
always-
baked in a little bit. But yeah.
I'd love to see target pitching, and then why not target hitting when you think about Acuna and the way that he was hitting home runs all over the field. So you hit one, line drive, and you have to hit it like base hit, off. Like there's a double area, then you've got to hit a pull shot, a center field shot, and an oppo homer, to a timer. That'd be interesting.
I want to see Lourdes Gurriel, Ramon Laureano, like take the ball in left field and throw it home, like to who could throw the
Yeah.
best strike from home, stuff like that. Like
Strikes.
there are ways. Come on, baseball.
Okay,
Come on.
here's one idea that we kind of talked about. The reason we talked about it, I think it was on last week's show, is it was just the same weekend as the NHL skills comp and the NFL skills
which was
competition.
so fun. Like,
So,
so fun. They
The
did such a
NFL
great
does
job.
their Pro Bowl, their All-Star equivalent, after the season. It's the week before the Super Bowl. So injuries are not a big of a concern because if a guy twists his ankle, hopefully it's not career threatening, but if it's a minor tweak, he's got all off season to recover, right? That's the idea behind letting those guys go out there and play dodgeball. So what if, we keep the All-Star weekend mid-season because the guys need a break and it's good. But what if we did revisit things at the end of the year and kind of built that into like a lead up for the World Series, kind of get some hype going and we get all those guys out there. And then if Juan Soto, throws his arm out because he's whipping the ball against the chain link fence to get the, 3 digits on the radar gun or whatever, it's not that big of a deal because okay, he's sore for a few days. He's got all off season and $400 million to help him through it. So I don't know. All right. Well, that was a good one about the slam dunk competition. It doesn't sound like anybody other than Duncan and myself saw it. I was thoroughly bummed out by it.
Did Spud Webb win?
No. I don't know if there was a single dunk in that contest that I thought blew my mind. But actually, going back,
They're too good. You need to raise the rim for that, really, because those guys are so incredibly good.
It kind of, when I was watching it, I was thinking back to the NHL All-Star Weekend and the shootout contest. I assume more people watched the shootout contest, I might be able to relate to what I'm about to say here. But it felt like, other than I can't think of his name, but he was blindfolded and
Trevor Zegras or whatever.
Yeah, right. Like that was an awesome shootout, or that was an awesome, I don't know what the term is for it, shootout shot that he made. Everything else for me, what I thought was so bad. Like, it was, a lot of it was show, and like, we'll bring out a celebrity or we'll wear a stupid costume, but like the actual moves were pretty boring this year for the NHL. I don't know. Am I the only one that thinks that, or?
I liked it.
That's how I feel about the
you like a
contest, though,
magician,
Adam.
right? Yeah.
I just feel like the Vince cared, Tracy McGrady cared,
Yeah.
Steve Francis, that dunk contest was unreal.
Mhm.
Jordan cared.
Yes.
He cared.
Yeah.
He went on his 3-year run or whatever, and
Spud Webb cared. Dominic Wilkins cared.
Dominic, yeah.
But then Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine cared. Nate Robinson and Dwight Howard had their thing, right? Like, Cole Anthony tried something with the Tims, like, but John Morant needed to be in that thing.
Yeah.
The dude is electric. Like, you
We're
needed
missing the star power, is what you think. Eh?
I think like if you do a bunt contest where it's like curling, where it's like you have to
like
bunt
that.
to the center pin there, like
There you go.
then
Yeah.
it's not about showmanship. It's about actually, I don't know.
because the home run derby
I'd
is
be
the
into it.
single most electric all-star game thing that we have, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so have the best one, and baseball playoffs could be argued as one of the single most exciting
Definitely.
sporting long-term. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
sure, NHL hockey and all that stuff, but like those things are so, every pitch matters. This home run derby, super electric in the All-Star game, but then the other stuff just kind of falls flat.
Well, okay, and here's one other thing. I mean, we talk about injuries being like a reason to avoid a skills competition in baseball, right? At the Midsummer Classic. But like, that's also an issue why like Vladdy opted out of the home run derby, right? Is never mind injuries, guys don't want to mess their swing up.
He's chasing an MVP.
So like, yeah, if you've got like an actual season that you're worried about, you don't want to participate in that. And that's not good for the game, right? So like, if we move the home run derby to the week or the day before the World Series started, and then you can have
28 teams.
Yeah, and everybody puts their best guy out there, and
Yeah.
you're not worried
Where do you
messing
do
your
it?
swing up.
Is my question.
Field
We gotta
of
merge
dreams.
Field
Yeah,
of
merge it
dreams.
with that, right?
Yeah.
I would think so.
Yeah,
I would think merge it with.
I feel the league may feel that would upstage the World Series a bit.
You think that would upstage the World
Don't wanna
Series? Yeah, probably. Isn't that a sad sentiment?
Well, they don't want you to announce like coaching changes before, like during the World Series. Like,
I know. I feel like that'd be an exciting lead into the World Series.
Yeah, because you
though.
could advertise World Series the entire time, right?
Oh yeah, do it on the off days, like baseball every night for the whole month of October. I'm into it.
I'd be in
I'm
for
into
that,
it. I
yeah.
don't know if Rob Manfred's into it, but I'm into it.
Fair enough. All right. Well, let's
Put it on Fox and TBS and ESPN. Let's go. Like more dollars for everybody.
They did get the home run derby right. We'll give them credit for
The
that.
format is
Because
good.
Now,
It's real good
The
now,
timing,
yeah.
the timing now, is
Yes.
good.
Yeah.
They did get that sorted out.
And
all right.
Guerrero hit 91 bombs in his, and he wasn't even. That was 780 OPS, Guerrero.
Yeah,
And he's still lost.
He's still lost.
He's still lost. Yeah, that's true.
Well, we all know Pete Alonso's the better hitter, so. All right. So once the lockout ends, we got to wrap things up here as we're approaching the 2-hour mark. There's been a lot of fun. Easy to lose track of time. Thanks again for everybody. Once the lockout ends, Carlos Correa, is he going to get a bigger contract than Seager?
Yeah.
Joel?
Yeah.
Joel said yes.
Yeah, I
Said
think so.
yes, it's official.
He's got the suit jacket on, so
Yeah, man.
He
Andrew,
has
how are
to,
you
right?
feeling?
I mean, his agent
Has to.
will never be able to show his face around again if he does.
Yeah, Boris has to, doesn't he?
Do you think he hits 400 million?
Yeah, Boris usually does okay. Yeah.
yeah.
Do we think Carlos
Does anyone
Correa
think he
gets
hits 400 mil?
One
I
almost
wouldn't go that
400
far.
million, but
what did Seager get? 325?
325.
Yeah.
325?
10. Yep.
I feel like 350.
355. Yeah.
375, 369. Like, I don't know what is Correa wanted right on that number. Like,
Correa adds the platinum glove, right? He's got the World Series ring the same way. He's been a postseason hitter the same way that Seager has. He's put up comparable numbers, if not a little bit better.
Yeah, it's that buzzer underneath the jersey.
And then that platinum glove gives him that extra added element, right? Because Seager's average shortstop defensively, maybe slightly above, but like
I think durability too, probably.
Yeah, durability. Correa's had a little bit of durability issues, but definitely the glove is just insane, right? So he should be like, I'm that plus another level.
All right. Well, we'll see. I guess. I don't think he's going to get to 400. I think that's Juan Soto maybe, but I don't think he's going to touch it unless that luxury tax goes up the way the players want it to. Like if there just is an extra $30 million a year for every team to spend, and the 4 or 5 teams that are at that threshold all of a sudden go.
And they're all going to spend it on top guys as opposed to guys at the bottom.
Exactly. And you just think about Acuna's contract, right? When all these guys are going to be signing record-breaking 4s. It'll start with a 4. It'll start maybe with a 5. And he's there with a $100 million contract, 118 with the oh man,
poor guy.
He makes less than Wander Franco.
Yeah,
I think his contract. I think Acuna is 100 and Franco's 118.
Interesting.
I think we talked about this before too a couple weeks ago, where it's going to be interesting to see how Bichette and Guerrero and stuff like that. Even watching Tatis's contract, like these are guys that came from money, and so there wasn't like that same. I mean, $100 million, right? Like that's generational change within a family. So I'll
take 100th of that, please. Like,
yeah, right. So like Acuna getting that offer, like it's hard to even blame him for taking it. It's too bad to see where it's gone now. But
Can we get Anthopoulos back to do some negotiations for the next generation again? Can we get some of those contracts up here?
All right. Speaking
we signed Moreno now.
Yeah, we should. We really should.
We'll put the hat out for Irvin Santana. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
Give Moreno that Danny Jansen money. All right. So Aaron Judge is in the final year of his contract as a New York Yankee. Is he going to get extended? Is he going to get $300 million? Is he going to be a Yankee for life? He's 30 years old. He'll be 31 by the end of this season. He's great when he's there.
I hope he does.
I agree. As a Jays fan.
Not even I just think that it'd be weird to see him somewhere else, and I think the Yankees, as much as George Steinbrenner was a mold breaking owner for a long time, I think clearly his sons have been much more aligned with the league and are more cognizant of the luxury. They don't spend like the Dodgers. I think they should. And I think Aaron Judge is a guy who should finish his career as a Yankee. He's great. They should keep him. I don't like the Yankees being good, but if he left, they would replace him with someone good. It's not like, oh, I don't, I think it's good for the game to have guys who, have careers like that. And I think he should stay. I would love to see that. And that pains me a whole lot to say.
I think he's going to get a contract.
He's going to kill.
I think they're going to reach out to him, and I think they're going to get. I don't know if it'll be $300 million, but I think they'll sign him to 8 more years. Maybe it will be 200, 250, something like that.
You know what? Maybe Kendrys Morales will be a reasonable alternative.
That's right.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up on that deflated thought of Aaron Judge getting 250 over the next 8 years for the Yankees. Thanks again for everybody who's followed along on the live chat and thrown questions into our Discord and everything like that. Thanks so much to our awesome guests. Let's start with Zach Logue. Thanks again for joining us, buddy. Appreciated the interview we did with you earlier last year. Appreciate the time you took to chat ball with us. Congratulations on the 40-man roster, as much as that's kind of a inconvenient promotion right now. And congrats on the wedding. But what are you most looking forward to in 2022?
I think I'm excited for my first big league camp. I'm excited for that. I'm hoping that the Rogers Center is at full capacity, and I make my way up there at some point.
That's
I've
gonna
never
happen,
been to the
man.
Rogers
That's
Center.
gonna happen. That's gonna happen.
I know.
It's gonna be
I've
awesome.
never been. I've never been, and I hear nothing but good things about the fans and the stadium and the city of Toronto as a whole. So that's probably number one on the list, I would say.
Awesome. All right, Joel, how's your movie coming? I know you're filming.
Going good, man.
Work on this.
They called me away for like a second there, but everything's rolling. They had to cut a little bit out of the end of the day, but it went great, and I got to do this at the same time, pretty much without a hiccup. So I'm happy. I'm happy.
What's the name of your movie when people can keep an eye out for it?
It's called Live Feed.
Live Feed.
And I'll in about 3 months I'll have dates and everything for people to be able to see it and everything like that. It's going to be shooting till March 20th, and then they'll probably do some pickups after that. But then after that, it comes together really, really quickly. They can edit it like as they shoot, pretty much. It's really amazing.
Awesome. And then how does distribution work for that? Do you have distribution lined up already? Or you have a deal with Netflix in place, or is this something you make first and then pitch?
So normally a writer is going to try to write something, and then the writing kind of carries the work, and that's how you make your money. Mm-hmm. But with this concept, the concept is where the money is. Okay. So we were able to self-produce this, and at just a fraction of the rate that you would normally make a TV show. So that's the selling point of the show. And so instead of just being a writer, I'm a producer of it as well. So it's going to be on Shudder, and then we're going to negotiate with Netflix, and hopefully we can turn it into a 3-4 year series through negotiations. That's what our goal is. Cool. And it's just the fact that we can produce a show that competes with everybody else for $5-6 grand an episode. It's insane.
Very cool. Awesome, do you have any news on your Tommy John screenplay that you're working on, or?
That one that's more of a really high level production. So that's we're waiting.
It actually needs a year off.
It needs 18 months to make. Yeah, that's right. It needs 18 months to make.
That's great, Andrew. That's great.
But this is the ball he actually signed, which is funny. When I got to meet him, let's see if you can see the signature there. Oh
yeah. Cool.
But it was amazing, and but that's kind of that's A-list Hollywood. You want Ryan Gosling playing the lead role, so the wheels turn much slower on something like that.
Very cool. Very cool. All right,
Thanks.
Well, keep us in the loop.
Absolutely.
Andrew, great line there on the Tommy John. That was great. Where can people find you? Obviously on Substack.
Yeah, the batflip.ca also works. Stoughton.substack. I just say dumb things on Twitter all day. Hopefully not for much longer, because hopefully the lockout ends and then I'll have actual baseball things to talk about. But yeah, and also appreciate you guys having me. Appreciate everybody.
Love having you on here.
This has been a lot of fun. You guys are awesome.
Thank you so much. All right, and Duncan, when can we expect that new logo from you? I've got my team my hat on there, so
it's looking good.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Omai's coming up on its 5th birthday, March 17th. So I got a big release coming for that. Yeah, super excited about where it's going. Appreciate you guys having me on. Always fun chatting sports with other guys, and Zach will get you hooked up with some stuff. Get you on Team Omai.
That's awesome.
There you go. All right. Good. All right. And Scott, how was Lethbridge? You got any more shows lined up that you want to
I'm off to Ottawa for this weekend. Laugh Lounge, downtown Ottawa.
You missed it. You're supposed to be there last week.
I missed the party.
All right. Well, this is been a lot
I'm sorry.
of fun.
I told myself I wouldn't make a convoy joke, but I
all right. Well, thanks again for everybody for tuning in. This has been a lot of fun. Thanks for everybody in the live chat for throwing some comments and questions our way. Thanks for everybody joining the Discord. If you haven't joined the Discord already, there will be a free invite link in the description of this, whether you're listening to it on audio or following along on YouTube. Love to have you, and we'll catch you guys next Sunday. So everybody else, enjoy the rest of the week
thanks so
with
much, guys. This
negotiations.
was great.
So hopefully we got baseball soon.